Live video is starting. Live video is starting. It has started. Good morning. I guess it still is morning. Good Sunday morning. I apologize for being about 20 minutes late today. I had hoped to start airing at 11:30, and it has taken me longer to set up than I thought. That's warning. I have to check that out. What's all about? Okay, so I guess the first question of the day is, why is Emery smiling? Well, although she's not dressed for it in this picture, she was, in the last 2 days, she's been able to sled or play in the snow in Central Park. And it'll be the first time as I don't want to say a real human being, but a human being who can analyze and talk and respond and figure it out. This will be her first time playing in the snow. So that's a good reason to smile. I started something up while it was for my trip to New York a couple weeks ago, and I haven't done it for a long time, and I enjoyed the experience, and I'm going to work it into a daily schedule, and that is uh, simply reading for pleasure, getting away from the stuff we read on Facebook, getting away from the computer. Uh, I spend a lot of hours online, and it's good to get away. And on my way to New York, um, reliving an old tradition I had from the 90s, I bought a John Grisham novel, A Time for Mercy. And in the 90s, uh, I put literally a million miles on Delta in the 90s. And uh, if you saw me in an airport, I had a John Grisham book in my hand back then. Uh, Good way to, although I had a lot of fun on my plane rides back in those days. Uh, when it was fun to travel, uh, because I accumulated so many points, uh, of which I still have. I built them back up. I just saw the other day I have 16 or 17,000 points against the million that I had back in the 90s. But it was I was upgraded to first class virtually every flight that I took, because flying was different back then, and it was a lot of fun to fly, and so there was a lot of evening flight. Well, early evening flights. I used to take a flight every 6 weeks from Cincinnati to Salt Lake City, and was upgraded to first class, and that was really enjoyable because we got a meal and had cocktails, and on one of those flights, I had cocktails with, sitting right in front of me was Adam West, and I went, do 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 do. Of course I did, and we had a lot of fun with that. And sitting across the aisle and up in the corner by himself, and nobody was bothering him, was Robert Redford, uh, out to his resort in the mountains, and uh, so he was over, and nobody was bothering him. But it was a lovely flight. It was always a lovely flight. The great, I think the greatest thing about it was I flew it so often that typically it was the same flight attendants, and so there were liberties when the flight attendants knew you. But read a Grisham book. I loved it. I loved it. It's a 640-page book, 640 pages. Uh, I did it probably, and I am not a book pleasure reader. Well, book pleasure I'm going to get back, but I probably finished this book in 12 sittings, and whatever. And it was really, really enjoyable, and I enjoyed it. So I hope there's more around that I haven't read. I'll have to check it out. John Grisham and Time for Mercy. Very interesting case. I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed Grisham. Uh, the one thing in my life that I always had on the drawing boards from the time I was a young child uh, to college was law school. I would have loved being a lawyer, and I would have specialized in small business law, no question about it. I've I've actually dabbled in it without a license over the years, in the last 10 years. Uh, but it was good to read the book and try to anticipate what the attorney might do, who is a pretty cut and dry case, and it wasn't going to last. It was a murder case, and the murderer um, admitted to it. So it became a question of why. And it was very obvious. I think the ending was pretty obvious on that one. I think I was right with Grisham on that one. But right after I finished that book, I started to reread another book. This Intentional was actually written by probably my best cyberspace friend. Never met David. We video chatted, we texted, we have probably done close together over the years, 7, 8 years. And if you go to intentional.expert, it is one of the web landing pages in my digital library. And I actually did a wonderful 60-minute discussion with David. I've spoken with him. We've had discussions on probably a half a dozen of his books, if not more. And Intentional was one that uh, I have plugged into this book more so than any of his other ones. David is he's the smartest guy I've ever met in my life. Period. That I have met, and he is brilliant, and he's probably the one of the non medical um, experts on the mind and the brain and how they relate. And it's just a throw. It took me an hour to read the first chapter, and I'm not done yet. That does include the intros. It's a book. David, as I said, he's a master of mind and mind, the brain and the mind, and actually brain, mind, and body. Uh, he did something that he's never done. There's 11 chapters, 11 chapters in the book. Uh, each chapter title is one word, and that's so eight. It's different than David's anything he's ever done before. Um, Asks the questions. Very simple. I think one of the reasons why I've been able to get into this as much as I have, and it's not this is not a negative criticism about David. He is who he is. Uh, this book is the most simple of all the books of his I've ever read, and I think that's why I understand more of it. But at any rate, it's wonderful, and he does something that you rarely see in a book of this nature. At the end of it, he has one, two, three bullet points on questions. He asks questions that relate to the chapter that you just have read. You can take what his thoughts are and think about them in terms of your own life. And in fact, I haven't, well, it's been a long time since I've seen these questions, but I'll bet I have stopped to think about these things before he reminded me to. And then he's got a top tip in each chapter. So I was going to do this. I sent him a text and said, I'm rereading your book. I'm finding new meaning to it. I'm keeping a diary, actually, of things as opposed to necessarily writing in the book. I'm keeping a diary of thoughts, and I'm going to then be sharing those thoughts. What a wonderful opportunity I have in front of me to interact with the author of a book. He'll probably, I don't know, man. Oh no. Well, because I started late, we are enjoying the bird sounds of the house finch. Is typically the one that sings at noon every day. House finch. It's going to be nice to be able to interact with the author on a real-time basis. I am sure we'll be doing another video on this, and it'll be different. But what a fun opportunity that is, and I'm really fortunate that I've been able to do that. So I'm going to, bottom line, I'm going to devote somewhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours every day to getting away from stuff and going someplace else with my mind and my brain. And I even have a time slot for it, and it's been working out very well. I'm not going to mention what time it is because it's a pretty bizarre time. Uh, I got somebody from my past came forward um, and reminded me about something, and actually, I've talked, I've addressed it in a couple of weeks ago, I think. I just wanted to share it again for those who might have missed it. Proud moment in my life was in 2004, the 5th day of November 2004. I was sworn in to the governor of the state of Ohio. At that time, the governor was Bob Taft. Uh, as something that he actually set up, the Small Business Advisory Council. There were probably about 24 or 25 folks on the council from around the state. And I had a fun experience getting on the council, or showing my desire to want to become a part of the council, and no political at that time. And so it was going to be absolutely an apolitical appointment. And as it turns out, I was the only one on the advisory council about those 3 years um, that was did not have a party affiliation. Uh, I was I had heard about it. I actually I contacted my local uh, representative, who actually lived not too far away from me at that time, back on the north end of town, and we were it, we were as politically opposing as any two people could possibly be, but we became good friends because we respected each other for the other's position, what they do, why they do it, how they do it. And so he took my name to the governor's staff, whatever, and I got nominated, and they did vetting, obviously, of me, the staff did, and I made it very that if they were looking for a political kind of individual to be represented on the board or return a favor, it was not going to be me. And if that was one of the conditions, then I'm not the right person for it. I was brought on actually for my marketing uh, and sales expertise uh, on behalf of small business, and also too at that time it was another interesting. I got another flashback. I was actually licensed to sell life and health insurance back in those years, and maybe that's how I made a connection. I don't remember, but I never sold a policy. I've never sold one policy. My desire to get licensed was to get proper education so that I could talk intelligently with small businesses about healthcare. It's kind of funny. When I wrote my book, uh, How Do You Answer These 749 Questions? It's around here somewhere, about your small business. There were 5 chapters in the book. One chapter was actually, um, and so all the probably about 200 and I don't know, 250 questions. No, it wouldn't have been 250. Maybe 150 questions were about healthcare. And I left, this was the purpose of the book. It was designed to be a workbook. There was white space in between all the questions so that the small business owner could actually take some notes. And if they found a situation where they needed to follow up, get some more information, uh, maybe they think of me. maybe they think, well, for sure they would get no better advice on marketing and sales, but there's certainly legal questions and accounting questions. You need to go to the licensed professional to get that. And then I should say, one of the inner circle, one of my inner circle of all the committee uh, of all the committees that I have, um, Barbara Weltman, she is the number one small business tax expert in this country, period. And she and I have been live streaming for 11 or 12, I think this is our 12, I don't know, 12th or 13th year. We have gone through so many video technologies over the years. It's unbelievable. And still other things, new things happening. It was because of the last video I did with Barbara. I usually do one every November when her book, Small Business Taxes 2022, comes out. The year that you were in, um, the book is about uh, helps you prepare your tax return for the prior year. Plus, it gives you the ideas, the new things to be thinking about. Barbara updates the book probably on a monthly basis, and anybody who buys the book has access to her monthly digital updates. She's got she's the expert. She's the expert, and that's how she does it. So went on the governor's council. It was great, and so that kind of changed my approach personally, professionally, how I dealt with things. What was I going to do? What was the next project? And in the in the year of 2007, my oldest son, who was a that was in between his sophomore and junior years in college. He was a marketing major at the Ohio State. Jordan said to me, he said, "Dad, you're not marketing yourself right. You're not positioning yourself right. You're not branding yourself right." And I said, "Okay, Jordan, you're the expert." We created a plan, and we worked the plan, and it totally changed where I was in life to where I was going to be going in life, and it was absolutely the best professional decision I could have made, and my son made me do it. Uh, I'm real proud to say my two sons are excellent, excellent marketers, uh, better than their father. I don't know about all that. Anyways, they're really. I'm really proud of them, and we've never. We'll talk about things, but they one in the classroom and the other one by just doing. Sam direct is one of the best direct marketers I've ever met, and he just learned by doing, and he does a great job at it. So it wasn't long after that, after Jordan and I had that discussion in 2007, that I was watching television one Monday night, and I watched. At that time, I was loving Dancing with the Stars. I always dreamed about Dancing with the Stars. You know where that dream's going. Well, I dance with it only in my dreams. Anyways, I was watching this show, and I was awakened that night, and it came to me that I should brand and name all these things. Dreaming with entrepreneurs. Earlier, there was Dancing with the Stars. Now it's Dream with the Entrepreneur. So I immediately went down and I bought the domain name Dreaming with Entrepreneurs. About 4 or 5 days later, I called a friend who was doing my small business legal stuff, and there wasn't much stuff to do, but he set up a couple LLCs for me, and I asked him to set that one up. So Dreaming with Entrepreneurs LLC is how it got started. It's wrong because it said in 2010 we were in business for 10 years, and we weren't. And that came from the Chamber of Commerce in Cincinnati, and I did belong to the chamber, but I don't know how they got that information. Must have been a typo. So I set up Dreaming with Entrepreneurs, and I don't know if you can see. Let me get rid of that thing because it's blocking my view. Get rid of that thing. I think you can see it. This painting was actually done overnight, maybe 2 nights. A landlady of mine, I was living in a basement thing that she created in the first floor of her house, this big house, and we got to be pretty good friends. And I just jokingly said to her when I need a logo, did that for me, and it was right on. We're gonna lose that one. It was right on. Well, she said that. I said, well, Teresa, you need to extend my dream, because I also have a dream with Dreaming with Entrepreneurs that someday we will go on a 5-day cruise as privately as we possibly can, and we will it'll be small business owners, and we'll just have a lot of fun and share war stories, and that's one of my dreams, and it's hopefully it will happen. It could happen in the next 3 years, really. I see some opportunities in the next 3 years, but also too, I was having an online live streaming recording production. Did he sign this? I meant to ask him that. He did. We had a discussion in 2014. Tim Longwell. Tim, I don't know how we originally connected, but somehow we did. And while we were having this conversation, he did a pencil draft of this while we were talking. Didn't tell me he was doing it, and he sent it to me, and I was so thrilled with it. It's a great caricature. It's probably a little better looking than I looked then, but it was perfect. It hit all the major themes. So I got to talking after he sent it to me. I said, Tim, we ought to if you paint this, if you would maybe sell these caricatures on all the broadcasts that I do, because I do enough broadcasts and enough people see them, and we never did get that together. At any rate, yesterday or the day before yesterday, Tim watched one of my Facebook lives, and I hadn't seen his name for a long time, and so message, and bottom line, Tim and I we're going to do a live production. I don't know what technology we're going to use yet. And we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about. He's a really, really interesting guy. Lives in Oklahoma. You'll really enjoy it. Um, all business and Tim's perspective of it and what he's doing with his life. Actually, to be honest, I'm not. It's been a long time since he and I have spoken, so we'll get some kind of update before then. But I said to Tim, we're trying to tie down when we're going to do it, and I just came here. I said, wouldn't it be fun if I involved Teresa in our conversation, because she was an artist that used her talents to do what she does to create something for Dreaming with Entrepreneurs and Small Biz David. Uh, so he said, yeah, it'd be a great idea. So all that together and and have a fun conversation. I know Teresa, because she and I have had some contact. We've had I just wished her a happy birthday a couple of days ago. Uh, she is an artist trying to sell her artwork. Very, very talented artist, and I've tried to help her sell some of her art along the way. But we'll talk about that too. Um, Never forget one time when I was living over at Teresa's house. I got a knock on my door, and uh, it was um, the former mayor of Cincinnati, who was looking to buy some of Teresa's art, and a piece that she thought he would like. She actually loaned it to me, and I used it as a backdrop in some of my productions of beautiful work. And he came to look at it. Uh, I think he ended up buying it because painting quickly left my suite. So we're working on a date. I'm sure that, well, hopefully it'll be sometime in January that we'll have this conversation. Of course, we'll do it live, and I'll record it, YouTube record it, so that we can place it in all the different areas where we place our videos, where I place my videos. And, oh, here's, I guess we can end. I've had you for, if you're still with me, 31 minutes and 35 seconds. Uh, when I when I created Dreaming with Entrepreneurs LLC, uh, part of the reason for me picking the name that I did was that I had dreamed about having my own reality TV show someday. So I wanted to protect the name Dreaming with Entrepreneurs, and I applied for a service mark. It's similar to a patent, similar to a trademark. And I just ran into my certificate of registration. It was a 3 or 4 year registration, and I had to renew it. All I remember is I never renewed it. The intent was to have, no, actually, I think it lasted 7 years, 7 or 8 years. The intent was to have a television show that uh, called Dreaming of Entrepreneurs, and it was reality TV, real time. Things were happening just like they happen now, and I kind of smiled and said, "Well, right now, I'm doing real time TV, um, but I'm doing real time internet, Facebook Live." So what started to be a television dream has finalized itself with all the videos that we do. There's no way Well, I did produce 65 television shows. They were public access television here in Cincinnati. It took me a couple over a 2 year period. I started out doing an internet radio show on small business, and we were building an audience, and they wanted me to do uh, the folks who uh, ran the public access television station asked me would I be interested in doing a Saturday morning television show on small business, and I said, of course. I actually I've got all those videos recorded somewhere, but they're on DVDs. I don't know. Can you play a DVD anymore? I I haven't personally seen a DVD in well, I've seen them, but I haven't seen a DVD machine. I guess you can to pull out. It would be fun because I really enjoyed doing those. We had a camera crew, and I'll never forget the one time that uh, two of three camera people did not show. So um, a friend was running three cameras from the control room. No live uh, 1, 2, and 3, and he would control them up there. And the two of us produced a couple. I think we went a couple weeks that way without a crew. Those are the good old days. So one final thing uh, for my friend Stan Bush. I know he is so excited today down in Georgia uh, because his Georgia Dogs are playing for the national championship against Alabama, and it's always a good football game, but extra special this year because it's for the uh, Bearcats played their hearts out, but got smashed. Oh, they were the only undefeated team in the Final Four since the city was on fire for the football team. It was just uh, actually I saw more excitement, I think, with the UC football journey adventure than I have with a lot of baseball and football. Cincinnati Reds and Cincinnati Bengals, of which I don't personally go to games. Although I was at the baseball game the night before Pete Rose hit his final hit, or the one that broke the record, 4,700. I don't remember how many, but I was there the night before he did it. And so we missed that, but that was pretty crazy. So that's going to be it. Thank you for your time today. Uh, Working on a lot of things right now. Uh, Big week for me personally in business. I did, as I said in one of the postings I did this week, that I'm getting back to my roots. I got back to my roots after a many year absence of going one on one with my potential customer for whatever the project might be, because I have a project in mind and I do my research and I figure out who, or try to figure out who needs or who will benefit most, who will get the greatest value out of what it is that we're trying to accomplish. And it's worked pretty well over the years. So in that spirit, uh, I have created the New World Institute for Creative Marketing Sales. And it's it's really exciting. I mean it's literally the culmination of 50 years of doing stuff, and it's so fun, and I've got a very very specific plan of what it is I want to accomplish. I'll be sharing with you in a couple of days one key to the whole business plan, and we'll see how that evolves. So thank you for your time today, and as my old friend Jaime Williams from 50 years ago in Canton, Ohio used to say, we'll see you the next time, which may very well be. We'll see you then. Thanks. Live video is starting. Live video is starting. It has started. Good morning. I guess it still is morning. Monday. I apologize for being about 20 minutes late today. I had hoped to start airing at 11:30, and it has taken me longer to set up than I thought.